Welcome to Learning with Boys. My name is Rachel. I am a homeschool mom. I have 4 boys I have graduated to, and we are on our 17th year of homeschooling. I have a senior, and I also have a 7th grader this school year. So I'm trying to share about the curriculum that we are using with him. This is actually a lot of new stuff to us this school year, but the actual company curriculum we have used for several years. So I am going to just share some thoughts about Heart of Dakota. So I have really been looking and pondering on the Charlotte Mason curriculum. We actually use a curriculum from Heart of Dakota. They use a lot of living books. They use spines. There's narration, but not every day. There's copy work. There's poetry and art and music studies. But there are some differences, which I want to talk about my thoughts on Charlotte Mason and more of the inspired type of curriculum, because I feel like that is what Heart of Dakota is. And one thing that is different, and I want to make sure people understand, and I'm going to turn the camera around and actually show you some more things about Heart of Dakota, but I guess my mindset when I started this program was that it was a Charlotte Mason inspired curriculum. Now, one thing, as I'm sort of looking at some curriculum, I am brainstorming through some curriculum, have some more videos coming out to show you hopefully soon, but is that the Charlotte Mason inspired curriculum is definitely going to be different than the full-blown Charlotte Mason. But one thing I do like is with Charlotte Mason, you are teaching the child and you're not teaching the curriculum. And I feel like throughout my homeschool journey, that has always been my focus. Each one of my boys, which I am a homeschool mom of 4 boys, that they were so different in their styles of learning and what they were interested in. I really had to make the curriculum work for that. So I want to share a few thoughts on that, but I am going to show you some things about Heart of Dakota just to make some things clear if anybody's wondering. I know a lot of people are thinking about curriculum and purchasing curriculum coming this spring very soon, that I just want to give you all the information that I can now. So I did find this quote on a Facebook group from, let me use my glasses here, from Karen Andriola. She has written the book Mother Culture. So she gives a lot of quotes from that book. And one thing she is talking about is biographies, which we are a big family of reading, like historical fictions or biographies. And she says, we can pull up a chair and sit beside someone extraordinary. And I don't know. I just felt that because we do enjoy those type of books. This is especially advantageous for young people coming to age who are polishing up their personality, deepening the roots of godly character. A teacher can supply a name, date, and event on an exam and ask that student to tell what it is all about. What the student provides is the story narrative behind the facts. That's knowledge. What good is memorizing or answering by fragment names, dates, events, if the most stir is missing and the student doesn't care a hoot about any of it? Varying young students do best narrating short tales or episodes, but giving students books, purry along pleasantly as a forest book, unquote, and in later years, you may put any dull outlines into their hands and they will make history for themselves. So I think for us, especially, that I know there's so many ways of learning, but for us, it's definitely those living books that help you experience what part of history you are studying and really just bringing it to life and bringing the characters and the heroes and the people that truly lived during that time and that help you understand how they felt and what inspired them is really what will be carried away in the knowledge of your student. So I just want to share that thought with you before I get started here with this curriculum. Okay, like I said, this is the curriculum that we are using, and I just wanted to share a few thoughts with you about it if you are just wondering how it all works. I really truly feel like a catalog would help you. And they have added a lot of new things, and this actually catalog is a couple years old. And I know some things have even been updated a little since then. So I'm trying to find the one page I'm looking for. Lots of information here. But they always have a scope and sequence for, this is going to be for the younger grades and the little heart series that goes all the way through age 10. And it gives you detail about what their history focus will be, what their science focus will be that year. And then there's a placement chart to give you a better idea of where your child can be. So let's just look at Bigger Hearts for His Glory. Gives you an age, 7 to 9. They're reading, done with phonics or emerging readers, and then writing, and then grammar and math. And they also will give you an idea what's going to be going on with Bible. Sorry, there's a little glare on it. History, science, story time, poetry, and rhymes. So that is just the early years. Right now, I am with my middle schooler. So let's look at that, because that is quite different. I'm going to tell you right now, this is the scope and sequence. This is the guide we are using, Revival to Revolution. So a chronicle and narrative overview of American history with the contents of world history from the revivals to the Industrial Revolution, including church history and missions. In-depth map reading and mapping activities are scheduled to coordinate with the history reading. Study of primary source documents and history poetry is included. Research on the signers of the Declaration of Independence is conducted. An optional Christian study of the 50 states is provided. So, and I have videos on that guide specifically. And he's actually working on their science too, which includes daily independent reading and experiment activities. And it is a physical science, so it gives you everything that they talk about there. Then if you go over here, it's going to be talking more about their reading, their writing, and what level they should be at to be prepared for this specific guide, whether it be Creation to Christ, Resurrection to Reformation, Revival to Revolution, or Missions to Marvel, and you see the ages there. But one thing I want to share with you is that they do have in extensions, especially these last two guides are used in high school a lot. So there is flexibility in the Heart of Dakota guides. I know a mom now, she's actually using some of the things from two different guides for high school to make it work for what he is needing in this specific grade. So there is flexibility to it to make the curriculum work for your child. And that's one reason that I keep coming back to it, and the reason that we like it. Now, my favorite part of it is the history, the living books. We do use it for science on and off. There are some things that we've really enjoyed through the high school years with the curriculum, and some things we have not done. But I have another student that's getting ready to come through the last guide for middle school, and he'll be in high school. So I have a lot of thoughts because he's another kid and he's totally different. So I'm excited because I think some things that maybe I didn't use or just didn't work for my other boys, he may enjoy. So, but let me show you some examples of what their storytime books are, which would be the books that bring the history to life, because they do have spines that you're reading through to guide you through the timeline of history. And then they always have a living book that you're reading along. They call it story time. So I'm going to show you what would be considered just the regular for my son this year, which would be 11 to 13, but then they also have extensions. And the reason I want to show you this is because he has done a mix, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Okay, I am just going to go through the story time, or what we call the living books that he has read, and some he hasn't read and has exchanged for the extensions. So Amos Fortune was something we read, Songbird. The Mozart Girl, we did not read that one. The Pirate Patriots, The Reb and the Redcoats, Marie's Home, we did not read. Seamen, Only the Names Remain. The Voyage of Patience Goodspeed. Now we're not reading this. This is, I think, what is the read aloud right now. Florence Nightingale, I haven't decided on this one. Gabriel's Horse, Shipwrecked, Daring Faith, and he will probably read this one. And then George Washington Carver. So you may see a little theme of maybe why he's not reading these books. I did want to give them a chance. I really went through them and sort of read through them, and I thought, I want him to enjoy a good historical fiction or biography through this time period, and I just knew that it wouldn't be enjoyable. So I want him to be learning at the same time. So we picked some of the extensions, and let me show you those. Okay, I do want to share with you that the extensions are meant for a student that is older, and there is a reading schedule in the back of the guide, which is so nice because it gives me an idea of what book will go with what week of the school year and what we're talking about. So that is so helpful. At first, the first book that I was thinking, he is not going to read this book, I was starting to try to think of another option. And I just happened to remember, wait a minute, they have extension books in the back. I wonder if it's something he could read. Now, I will tell you that my son is a little bit more of an advanced reader, but on the other hand, not all of them, but a few of them we read aloud, which it is a read aloud. That gives you the choice whether to read it with him or not. So if you need another book, and I will tell you a couple of them I was able to get at the library. So that was very helpful. And some of them I already had. So that is another reason that this really worked out for me. But again, we are wanting to teach the child and not the curriculum. So that is sort of just my thought process. I want him to enjoy it enough to really where he is learning from it and gaining knowledge and interested. So that is one reason I went ahead and decided to use some of these other options that they give, which is very helpful. Now, there are lots of places that you can find other books, but at that point, it was just nice that I didn't have to go searching for another option. So let me show you the other books. Okay, looking at the catalog, the extension package gives you a little detail there about how these are used if you are letting an 8th or 9th grader use this curriculum. So now, there's a list of them. I'm going to come down. I don't have all the books. Like I didn't have Calico Captive, which is actually by James Daugherty. I didn't realize that. And then we actually read Poor Richard, which was by James Daugherty also. And that was really good. I've seen that with a lot of curriculum, and we got that one from the library. Now, this was Give Me Liberty by L.M. Eliot. That was new to us. And we didn't have the next one, which is, I'm trying to see what it says, Sea Captain from Salem by Leonard Wibberley. So we didn't have that one, but I'm just letting you know what they are. Like we read the regular living book instead. And a couple times we read too. The Search of Honor. We read this one. And then this was The Less Miserable audio drama. And I have that, but I couldn't find it. So we didn't do that one. He did read the Kit Carson one. I think he really, really liked that book. I wasn't thinking he would, but so I'm so glad that he did. And right now, we are, instead of The Patience Goodspeed, we are reading All Set Sail. Now, I can tell by just looking through that book, through this book, the reading level would have been pretty easy and probably age appropriate. This one, I'm actually reading out loud with him, and there are pictures, but it's got, sometimes gets me a little tongue twisted, but it is very good. I wasn't sure, but so far it sounds like it's going to be pretty exciting. And then we have this book. I read this book with my one that's a senior now, Lincoln's photobiography. So I'll probably just let my son read through this next because I just feel like this was a really good book and it's worth another read through. And I don't have this one, which I'm tempted to get, Leon Grant at Appomattox, right there. usually I can get these books at the library. And then there's one about David Livingstone and one about Theodore Roosevelt. And it's funny because my son just read The Heroes Then and Now about him. I wasn't thinking that was a book needed at the end. So, but I have a feeling he'll just read the regular ones, which is probably going to be with Daring Faith and George Carver. So that'll work out. Wanted to let you know how that worked. Okay, so like I said with the narration, that is only a written narration once a week, but you do have notebook pages where you're filling out a timeline, you're making some other small notes, and you are doing an oral narration. You also have some questions in the older guides, not in the younger guides, I don't think. But with these storytime books, reading them independently, a lot of times we read them out loud, but probably over half of them he has read on his own. But there are questions and answers and thoughts. Sometimes there's scripture. And I know even with the history living books, once a week, I notice that there's always a verse that you're supposed to look up that will correlate to the situation going on in history. So I really do appreciate the Christ-centered Christian worldview in this curriculum also. But I just wanted to share this video with you if you are even looking into this, that it would just give you some insight and help. So if you have any more questions, I would love for you to let me know if you would like to see something else. Also, I do have Instagram, and a lot of people ask me questions over there, and would love to chat over there if that's something that you can do. So, all right, I do hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you again soon.